Hello and welcome to another edition of Nutreco's Women in Science podcast series. In the run-up to the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, we're hoping to inspire our listeners with accounts of the personal journeys of some of our leading female scientists. How did they get to where they are today? We asked them how they got started, what difficulties they faced, and about their hopes for the future. At the same time, we're recognizing that science is still a male-dominated field and it can be tough for women to make headway. For example, only 12% of members of national science academies are women. And in cutting-edge fields such as artificial intelligence, only 1 in 5 professionals is a female. So there's still lots to be done. At Nutreco, we're committed to building diverse and inclusive teams. I'm your host for this session. My name is Robyn, and I recently joined Nutreco from SHV, where I'm responsible globally for recruitment and diversity and inclusion. Our guest today is Julia Wolska, team lead feed technology in the innovation team of the aquaculture business line of Nutreco, Skretting. Julia, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So, team lead feed technology, what does this mean? What do you do in your job?
The core of my job at the minute is to support aquafeed producing plants, also all Skretting plants in the Nutreco family, with doing the research that enables them to optimize their production processes in feed production.
So it's a combination of science and production?
Exactly. So we have a pilot scale plant here in Stavanger where we can test new technologies, new raw materials, different opportunities before we implement them in the big factories.
Because you were recently promoted, I think.
Yes, that's correct. I'm quite fresh in my role, started 1st of January 2022.
And all good so far?
So far, so good. Yes, very excited.
And what were you doing before you took on this new role?
I've been in Skretting Aquaculture Research Center, how it was called before, for 12 years. Started as a junior researcher and afterwards got promoted to researcher and senior researcher 2 years ago. So I've been going along my scientific path and now I'm leading a small research team on my own.
And do you still combine the science part with managing other people?
Yes, for sure.
It's still fresh, but how is it? How are you experiencing that?
I'm really excited and I'm really looking forward for this role. I have a small but very agile team of young scientists, all women.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but I still have some time allocated to research and science related topics myself. So now I can really combine everything in my role. So
Great. And you're not Norwegian.
No, I'm not Norwegian. I'm Polish. I moved to Norway 14 years ago, almost already. I really love living and working in Norway. It's great.
And your studies? What did you study? Where did you study?
I took my master's degree in Poland at the Technical University in Gdańsk. So it was a bit male-dominated field. Well, technical university, there were mostly men, but I studied at the chemistry faculty. So there we had actually majority of women. And then I moved to Norway and I got an opportunity to do the industrial PhD together with Skretting. It was a collaboration between Skretting and Lund University in Sweden. So a perfect fit for me to combine science and this hands-on experience from Skretting plants.
You said that it was quite male-dominated. Yeah, what experiences do you have from that?
There was a lot of from my university, you mean?
Yeah.
In Poland. Poland is very patriarchal culture. A lot of academic teachers were well-grown-up men coming maybe from previous era. So they were not always appreciating us women as much as men. So we had to face sometimes very nasty, snarky comments about us being women and where is our place, that it's not in the science, but it's in the kitchen or at home with the children. So yeah, at some point you just have to develop a thick skin in order to get through it. But I also see that this culture thankfully is changing, that we are talking more and more about women in science and also in the male dominated areas, which is really good. And I think that this is also our responsibility as a whole society to for this culture change and to stop those mean comments, and so young women don't have to experience them anymore. Because, well, yes, I survived, but it was not the nicest experience.
Yeah, and developing a tough skin is and being confident that you yourself have chosen the right path and you're in the right role is one thing, but yeah, we should be supporting that more.
Exactly. So if you hear a comment like this, even as a side observer, I think it's very important that you react, that we all react if we hear something like this.
I'm curious, how did you decide to go into science? Yeah, do you are you from a family of scientists? What was it about science that interested you?
Well, yes, I got inspiration from my parents for sure. My mom, she had a PhD in food technology. So she had not very long, but she had a research scientific career before she moved back to my hometown, and she became a teacher, a chemistry teacher. And my father, he was a fisheries scientist as well. So I grew up in this environment. They had many friends that were also at least partially connected through different scientific um, fields. So there was always no doubt for me that I want to go to the university. I want to study, and I very early I decided that I want to learn more about the world that surrounds us and to understand it more, um, and to research it as well, to study it more.
So almost a kind of family history, not just with science, but also linked to aquaculture and
Yes,
food.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you always know that you wanted to work in aquaculture, or was that a happy coincidence?
To be honest, it was a bit of a happy coincidence. I was always interested in food technology, but also in fish. As I said, my father, he was a fisheries scientist, but he was also a very passionate hobby fisherman, spending a lot of free time going out fishing, visiting Scandinavia many times. So I was always interested in food technology. I thought that food processing, how we are preparing the food, is really interesting. And yeah, fish were also very much present in our conversations at home, as my father was very active hobbyist fisherman, spending a lot of time going fishing. But me ending up in Skretting, in aquafeed industry, it is a bit of a happy coincidence. I moved to Norway because my husband got a job here. I moved here without having any job, but then luckily there was an opening for a junior researcher position in Skretting, and I got it. So here I am.
And you said that your team now is all female. Yeah, how are your experiences with that?
I think that leading three women, it's a great opportunity. It's a great situation, but also I think that yeah, it's not only that we are all women. We were the best people to do the job now. So it's not only about being all female, but it's also about our skills in fulfilling the job.
The research team in Stavanger is very diverse, not just in male and female, but also in a lot of different nationalities.
Yes,
What do
it's
you think the benefits are of that?
the benefits is that For sure, we learn about different cultures, and Skretting being a global company with factories in on almost all continents, we need to learn about different cultures. So having them already available at the workplace in one office, it's for sure a huge advantage, because it just broadens our perspectives and our horizons. We get to know each other better.
And I believe it's more fun as well.
Oh, well, for sure, there's a fun aspect to it.
You recently did Taking the Stage, a program that we offer to female colleagues to support them in their leadership ambitions. What was your main takeaway from the program?
My main takeaway was that we as women, we should work on our confidence, and we shouldn't be doubting ourselves. And it's not very good to generalize, maybe, but probably we see it more often in women than men, that women tend to stick to their failures, to over process things, and men have maybe tendency to move on a bit quicker from those negative things that happen to them and embrace the successes much more. So this is what we should also be doing. We should all do this, no matter the gender. We should embrace our successes, be confident, and not doubt ourselves.
Yeah, learn from failures, but move on fast.
Exactly.
And in that same, I think you have some good advice there, and also some good advice from being a woman in a very male-dominated university environment. But what advice would you give for women who are just starting their careers in science?
I think, yeah, we as women, we need to be confident, and we need to stay strong, and we need to know our worth, that we are as good as men, and we should never doubt ourselves just because we are women, right? On one hand, I would like to advise women to develop this strong, tough skin, to be able to ignore snarky and sarcastic comments. But of course, on the other side, well, there shouldn't be a need for this in the first place. Yes, but we are not living in the perfect world yet, so
Yet.
it is a journey, right? So of course, it is helpful to try to distance yourself if you face this unpleasant situation. But as I mentioned before, we have a responsibility as the whole society to not accept sexist and mean and negative comments.
Absolutely, it's definitely a journey, and I think we made huge steps just even in the last few years, but still a long way to go. Um, I'm curious what you're most excited for in the future, in your role or in the world of science.
I'm really looking forward to keep supporting Skretting opcos and also take on new challenges. We are looking now more into, for example, energy saving, energy efficiency, something that we haven't looked at so much before, and the ways how we in the feed technology department can support it and come up with new processes, or the way to process the raw materials to save energy. That's for sure one of the interesting part, the sustainability journey.
Yeah, and I think we have quite a lot of savings that could possibly be made there, right? It's quite an energy intensive process.
Yes, for sure. And it's not only about savings in dollars, but it's also about savings in carbon dioxide that we emit to the atmosphere. So it's both money and the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. Very exciting. Julia, thank you so much for joining us and sharing, your personal experiences and your views. It's been great to have you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And for our listeners, just a reminder that we still have a couple more episodes of this series to come. So make sure you tune in and hear more stories from our female scientists at Nutreco. Thank you.